Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's we'll be reviewing a Jeep Gladiator with all of the AEV kit on it. Before we get into this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Lurch Miller Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler here in Sandy for giving me some time with this Gladiator. I'll include a link to their website in the description down below. Also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. Powering this is a 3.6-liter V6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 285 horsepower and then 260 pound-feet of torque, and this has been re-geared to a 4.56 axle ratio. Before I move forward with this review, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So taking a look at the hood, you guys can see you've got the vents on either side. You got a little AEV logo there with the pinstriping, I guess is what we could call it. Now, you can see the hoop there at the top. We've got extra lights added. They've relocated the front camera so it's still usable. We've got a winch added to this. This is a custom bumper with this package. You got the fog lights there as well. Extra skid plate protection underneath. There's also protection over the differentials, which is nice. But yeah, really cool look. Now this package adds 37s, that's why it's the JT370. So you've got that wrapped around 18-inch wheels, beadlock capable, and you notice that the valve stem is completely protected. And then we've got the upgraded dual RT Sport suspension with the Bilstein shocks. We'll talk about this more with the ride, but you can see the whole kind of setup there up front. Big chunky fender flares, of course. AEV badge there on the side. We've got factory rock rails. And then here's your side profile. Gladiators that are lifted with 37s look really cool. And then just quickly show you guys the suspension in the rear with those upgraded shocks and the lift. And then it looks like this is the stock bumper here in the back. Don't think they changed that, but we do have the AEV badge there with the vinyl decal. And then it looks like we've got the differential protection there in the rear too. So cool look on the exterior. And then when it comes to the interior, this is not gonna be the best show, but we do have these custom seats, AEV there at the top. Got nice perforated trim in the center. The front seat will be a better show of this whole setup. So look at these, pretty cool looking. Nice leather trim and all that. And this is built off of a Rubicon, so we do have diff locks front and rear, sway bar disconnect, 2-speed transfer case. It's got all the off-road stuff that you would want. Now this leads us to the pricing of this kit. So you can see the base price of the extra stuff. This one does have some options added to it on top of that base price. Total additional content, you can see almost 25 grand. 86,373 is the total price on this after everything has been added to it. Let's see how it performs. Let us set off in the AEV Gladiator. Big fan of what AEV does. They're one of the, and I'll just say this because it's the truth, they're one of the few aftermarket parts companies that make stuff that just feels high quality, because it is. It's just, I don't know, it just makes sense. I reviewed a lot of cars over the years, a lot of cars with aftermarket parts, and I'm always impressed with the AEV. I mean, first off, aftermarket bumpers. This is becoming more and more popular because more people are getting into off-roading. And the problem with a lot of aftermarket bumpers is the weight. And what AEV does with their bumpers is they're still very strong, but I'm not going to be able to explain this all that well. But you'll notice that you don't have a bunch of welds on it. It's like liquid molded or something. I can't remember the exact name of the process, but it means that it can be thinner, lighter weight, and it just means that the shaping's way better. Looks fantastic, functional, super functional. And then that's the other thing about AEVs, they actually do functional stuff. Diff covers, skid plates, like people that actually take stuff off-road, that's the stuff that they want, right? So that they have the protection necessary so that when they hit into rocks and stuff that they don't destroy the vehicle. And they also work with companies like Bilstein that know what they're doing, and so The shock tuning on this is great. It's specifically tuned for the Gladiator here with the V6. And you can get different springs too. They have, you know, high load and regular load springs and all of that. So if you're going to be doing all out overland builds, then yeah, you can get higher load springs, higher capacity springs. They think of stuff from the perspective of people that are actually going to be taking their vehicles off-road and not just mall crawling with them. I also forgot to mention the walker on the AEV gauges. I forgot they do that on the Gladiators and Wranglers, because they still have the analog gauge, so they add the upgraded AEV gauges, which I think is pretty cool as well. But yeah, it drives really well. What this feels like compared to stock is, although it has bigger tires than stock, like this biggest tire you can get on Gladiator is 33 from the factory, it handles better than stock in a lot of ways, which that's not going to happen with bigger tires. The re-gearing helps out quite a bit. And then the other thing that helps out quite a bit is the suspension. So the re-gearing makes it so this doesn't feel slow. It's not going to be quite as quick as stock, but it doesn't feel slow for having 37s. And then the suspension makes it handle just really tight. So it all comes together quite nicely. I need to get a little bit more noise from the tires. That's expected with 37s. And the ride's smooth. It doesn't float as much as stock. I think that's a good way to describe what happens here. Stock can be kind of wishy-washy. This, though, feels nice and tight, but it's not uncomfortable. The compression's still great. Still has plenty of travel. But it means that this actually can go around a corner and you don't feel like you're gonna roll over. Yeah, that re-gearing does help out a lot. It's a big difference. So let me know your thoughts on the AEV Gladiator. I think it's really cool. I think that, again, practicality wise, this has exactly what you want if you're going to actually off-road your car. And it looks great, right? The bumper up front looks fantastic with the lights and all that. It has that cool off-roader look, but again, it's functional. That's the important thing. Because a lot of these builds that I'm seeing are not functional. And the other thing is, I've seen these with miles on them, and because they use durable parts like Bilstein shocks, it's not like again, you see aftermarket builds where you put 10,000 miles on a car with the build and it just starts driving like crap afterwards. Whereas these like Bilstein shocks, man, they're crazy. You can put just tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of miles, and the shocks just handle it. And they're also inexpensive to replace. That's the other thing that I do like about AEV stuff is, yeah, obviously the whole kit put together ain't cheap, but most of these parts you're never going to have to replace them. A lot of the parts though that you might have to replace, like the shocks and the springs, if you put enough miles on your Jeep, it's pretty inexpensive and accessible as well. So let me know your thoughts.